I understand that you're also doing some work using images taken from satellites. Can you explain for me what you're doing there?
Yeah, that's right. And it's just because of what I said, that these surveys, because of the vast area, are very expensive to do. And with a new marine park, the Department of Parks and Wildlife really need to be able to monitor these animals now and into the future. And so we're looking at some other ways that might reduce or be able to also provide an effective estimate of the population and their distribution, but perhaps might be able to do it at a reduced cost. And so we've found that, or we've seen that they've been able to monitor another species of large whale, the southern right whale, from using high-resolution satellite images. And so we're seeing if we can do the same with humpback whales in the Kimberley. So humpback whales are a little bit smaller than the right whale, and not as much of their back is visible at the surface when they're on the surface. So they might not be as good a candidate, but we're currently looking at very high-resolution satellites to see if we can count them from space. And the satellites we're using have a resolution on the ground of around 40 to 50 centimetres. And soon we'll trial another one which has even better resolution of 30 centimetres.
Great. And how do you arrange for those images to be taken? Are satellites sort of there for hire, so to speak, to be able to do services like this?
Yeah, they are. There's also an archive, so a lot of people task satellites for various things, and then later those images go in an archive that other researchers can view and purchase if the image covers the area that they're interested in. And typically the archive is a little bit cheaper than tasking the satellite. So first we're looking at the archive imagery selection to see if that has images that are suitable for our needs. So we need an image that doesn't have a lot of waves in it or a lot of cloud cover and perhaps an area that has lower turbidity. So we'll assess those, and if they're right, then we can use those ones. But if not, we can task the satellite for a particular time. So we might task it, say, in August, which is the peak time for humpback whales when they're in Camden Sound.
Great. And so the archive images that you've been able to have a look at, can you describe for me how whales look from outer space? Like, how much can you really see?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting question. So we do see a lot of boats. So, of course, boats are on the surface all the time. So they can be quite visible. But whales, because they spend some of their time under the water or sometimes, all the time partially under the water, their whole body's never out of the water. So it can be quite difficult. And, of course, with waves as well, it makes, the image difficult to resolve. So if I showed the image to you, Erin, you probably wouldn't go, oh, that's a whale. But what we can do is we can pick out images of things on the surface that are the right size of a whale. And as I've said, boats are quite obvious, so we can always rule out boats. And because there aren't many other things of that size floating around on the surface in the Kimberley, we can be reasonably certain that these images or these things that we see on the surface in the image are whales.
Fantastic. So this is probably your newest time-consuming hobby, is it, trawling through these satellite images in search of the whales?
Yeah, that's right. It does take a lot of time to visually assess the images, but we're also developing some automated approaches to this so that we can look at various spectral signatures in the image that allow us to find or pinpoint where things are on the surface, and then we can have a closer look at them with the naked eye to see if indeed there are whales. And sometimes we can actually make out a whale that, the average person would also be able to look at and ascertain that it's a whale. So it depends how much of the surface, how much of the body of the whale is on the surface at the time as to how certain you can be that it is a whale.
This could be a really significant change, couldn't it, harnessing this technology in areas of marine science that, like you said, have always been logistically and cost-wise quite difficult?
Yeah, it really is the way of the future, and satellite imagery more and more is getting higher and higher resolution with every year that passes, and so it really will become, I guess, the way that surveys are done in the future. And for it's already being used for many other things, not just for animals, but to survey a whole host of things in terrestrial environments.